The flickering lamplight danced across Jesus' face, etching shadows that seemed to deepen with each passing moment. His eyes, filled with a sorrowful love, swept over the faces of his disciples. They were gathered in the upper room, a place that had witnessed their laughter, their debates, their shared meals. Tonight, however, the air hung heavy with a sense of foreboding. This was no ordinary meal, no simple breaking of bread. He took the unleavened bread in his calloused hands, the hands that had healed the sick and embraced the outcast. Breaking it slowly, he spoke of his body, given for them. His voice, usually strong and vibrant, now trembled with emotion. Then he lifted the cup, the wine within it glowing like a ruby in the dim light. Each bite of bread, each sip of wine was a poignant reminder of the sacrifice about to unfold, a sacrifice that would forever alter the course of history. The Garden of Gethsemane lay cloaked in the stillness of night, its olive trees casting long, eerie shadows in the moonlight. Jesus, his heart heavy with the weight of the world's sin, sought solace beneath their gnarled branches. Leaving his disciples near the entrance, he ventured deeper into the garden's embrace, his soul wrestling with an anguish they could not comprehend. He fell to the ground, his face pressed against the cold earth. Sobs tore through him, each one a testament to the burden he carried. "Father," he cried out, his voice raw with pain, "if it is your will, let this cup pass from me." "Not my will," he whispered, his voice hoarse with anguish, "but yours be done." It was a surrender that echoed through the ages, a testament to his unwavering obedience, his willingness to embrace even the most excruciating pain for the sake of love. A chill wind whispered through the garden, rustling the leaves of the olive trees as if in anticipation. The silence of the night was shattered by the sound of approaching footsteps, their rhythmic crunch on the dry earth sending a tremor of dread through the disciples' hearts. Judas, his face obscured by the shadows, emerged from the darkness, his eyes gleaming with a mixture of guilt and avarice. He approached Jesus, a sardonic smile twisting his lips, and leaned in as if to offer a gesture of affection. But instead of a brotherly embrace, he planted a deceitful kiss on Jesus' cheek, marking him for the guards who had followed closely behind. The guards, their faces hardened and unyielding, moved in swiftly, their swords glinting menacingly in the moonlight. Peter, his anger flaring, drew his own sword, striking out at the high priest's servant and severing his ear. But Jesus, his gaze steady and filled with a heartbreaking compassion, calmly rebuked Peter, healing the servant's wound with a touch. The air crackled with tension in the hallowed halls of Caiaphas, the high priest. Jesus, his hands still bound, stood accused before a council of religious leaders who seethed with righteous indignation. Their faces, contorted with hatred and scorn, were a stark contrast to the serene countenance of the accused. False witnesses, their words dripping with venom, paraded before the court, their fabricated testimonies weaving a tapestry of lies designed to condemn the innocent. Caiaphas, his voice dripping with disdain, accused Jesus of blasphemy, his words echoing ominously through the chamber. "Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed One?" he demanded, his eyes narrowed with suspicion. Jesus, his gaze unwavering, responded with a simple yet profound declaration, "I am." His words ignited a firestorm of outrage. From there he was dragged before Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, who held the power to condemn or release him. The weight of the cross, rough-hewn and immense, pressed down upon Jesus' scourged and bleeding shoulders. Each step he took towards Golgotha, the place of the skull, was a testament to his unwavering love, his willingness to endure unimaginable suffering for the sake of humanity. The crowd, a sea of faces twisted with a mixture of curiosity and bloodlust, surged around him, their jeers and insults piercing him like daggers. He stumbled beneath the weight of the cross, his body racked with pain, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Roman soldiers, their faces hardened by years of brutality, prodded him forward, their whips leaving searing welts on his already lacerated flesh. Still, he bore the weight of the world's sin, his love undeterred, his resolve unbroken. A woman, her heart filled with compassion, broke through the crowd and pressed a cloth to his brow, wiping away the blood and sweat that mingled there. As he continued his agonizing journey, Jesus locked eyes with his mother, Mary, her face etched with a grief that knew no bounds. Upon the hill of Golgotha, a desolate place of skulls and shadows, the cross was laid upon the ground with a sickening thud. The soldiers, their movements rough and uncaring, ripped the garments from Jesus' battered body, exposing him to the jeering crowd. He was forced onto the rough-hewn wood, his back scraped raw against its splintered surface. The sound of the hammer blows, each one a hammer blow to the heart of God, echoed across the desolate landscape. Nails, thick and cruel, were driven through his hands and feet, pinning him to the wood with excruciating finality. A crown of thorns, twisted and sharp, was pressed upon his brow, drawing blood that trickled down his face, mingling with his sweat and tears. As the cross was hoisted upright, his body sagged against the nails, his breath coming in ragged gasps. "Father," he cried out, his voice hoarse with pain, "forgive them, for they know not what they do." Darkness descended over the land, an unnatural twilight that mirrored the despair in the hearts of his followers. For 3 agonizing hours, Jesus hung upon the cross, his body racked with pain, his lifeblood slowly draining away. The crowd, their initial fervor waning, watched in stunned silence as he endured this unimaginable torment. The sky, once shrouded in darkness, now flickered with flashes of lightning, the earth trembling beneath their feet. Then, with a voice that seemed to tear through the very fabric of creation, Jesus cried out, "It is finished." The words, filled with both agony and triumph, echoed across the desolate landscape, a testament to his complete and utter sacrifice. He had endured the full measure of God's wrath, borne the weight of the world's sin, and purchased redemption for all who would believe. As his head slumped forward, a final breath escaped his lips. The earth shuddered, a great earthquake splitting the ground beneath their feet. The veil of the temple, that sacred barrier separating man from the Holy of Holies, was torn in two from top to bottom, signifying the end of the old covenant and the dawn of a new era. "Truly," he declared, his voice filled with newfound reverence, "this was the Son of God." As twilight deepened into night, a small group of grieving followers gathered at the foot of the cross. Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy member of the Sanhedrin, approached Pilate and requested Jesus' body. Pilate, his heart touched by a sliver of compassion, granted his request. Tenderly they lowered Jesus' lifeless body from the cross, his limbs stiff and cold. They wrapped him in linen cloths, their tears mingling with the spices donated by Nicodemus, another secret follower. Together they carried him to a nearby garden, where a new tomb carved into the rock awaited its occupant. Inside the cool darkness of the tomb, they laid him gently upon the stone slab, their hearts heavy with grief and uncertainty. A great stone, round and impossibly heavy, was rolled into place, sealing the entrance. The silence of the tomb was absolute, a stark contrast to the tumultuous events of the past few days. Inside, Jesus lay still, his body ravaged by the ordeal he had endured. The scent of myrrh and aloes hung heavy in the air, a poignant reminder of death's finality. Yet even in the depths of that tomb, a promise lay dormant, a seed of hope buried deep within the earth. For this was no ordinary man, no mere prophet or teacher, This was Jesus, the Son of God, who had willingly laid down his life for the sins of the world. And death, that relentless foe, held no power over him. He had promised, hadn't he? He would rise again.